you're always attracting people at the same healing mindset, vibe, energy, whatever you call it, development as you. And so think about if you're listening to this right now and you charge $500, the person you're going to attract is going to be very different than, let's say you're a person listening right now who is charging $50K right now. The person that's investing, you're just attracting someone on that level.
Welcome back to the RJM show, everyone. Is I, Gabriel Schickler, joined by Joe McCarthy, and once again, Tyler. I'm actually not sure how to pronounce your last name.
Charlebois.
Anyway, we are here today to talk about all things related to mindset, business, personal branding, personal development, becoming a better and more capable human being. And since Tyler is back in the house today, I want to kick things off with what we left on last time, which is Tyler hates integrity.
I do. I hate integrity. I didn't know this was going to come up. Would you like me to expand on this?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, I'm figuring
No.
I hate it. Let's move to the next subject.
We're just going to throw that out there. That's it.
So this is, oh man, I'm passionate about this. So the reason I hate integrity is not for what most people think. It's the definition behind why people bring this up. The second you mentioned it, I actually felt my whole body get hot. So here's the problem. Most people will say you need to have integrity or you're out of integrity or something of that nature. But here's the problem. What integrity looks like for me could be very different than what it looks like for you, only because integrity is a process. It's not like a thing that you can hold. It's a process. And what I mean by that is if you look up, and I had to do this one day because I heard even Tony Robbins say what I'm saying right now, but I just happen to agree with it. He told someone, he's like, I don't even know if you know what the definition of integrity is. So I actually looked it up because I was like, I wonder where he's going with this intervention. It literally says, now I might paraphrase now because I don't remember the word specifically, but the essence of it literally said to be whole with one's self. So if a ship, for example, is not in integrity it's falling apart. If it's integrity, it's solid. So what that means is if I value freedom, love, and peace of mind, that means that I am in integrity. I am being integral if I am following my personal values of, what did I just say? Love, peace of mind, and freedom. Mm-hmm. If Joe, let's say, for example, I might think he's a total asshole because maybe he values being successful and being, controlling and whatever his values might be. If he's acting in accordance with whatever he values, he's being integral. So it's not that I don't like integrity. It's funny you say it that way. I hate when people are they act as though being integrity is following through with what you said you were going to do, or it's being a quote unquote good person. Integrity has nothing to do with following through with what you said you were going to do or being a good person. It's just, are you in line with your values? Period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's it. And then on the...
So wait, so you hate integrity because people have the wrong definition of it, or
to be specific, I hate the way that we all talk about you need to have integrity, because it's the people who I see preaching integrity tend to be the individuals who are trying to tell people a certain way to go about doing that. It's one of the most common things, without saying any names, one of the most common things I hear them say is follow through on your word to yourself. You're breaking your promises to yourself. Well, I'm sorry that if at the last minute I realize that I have a top priority above what I said I needed to do, I'm not out of integrity because I chose not to. I'm probably in integrity because I actually realized, oh, this is more important.
Yeah.
So it's the way we talk about it.
So you're saying there's almost this implicit demand to be in integrity with my values as opposed to just integrity.
In essence, yeah. And I think if people just got the definition of integrity accurate, not my accurate, just the actual definition, it's use it properly and you're good. But it's the same way as when people say, here's another one just like that, that confidence comes from keeping your promises to yourself and showing up. It's the amount of people who I know show up for themselves every day in every area of their life, not because they're feeling more confident from doing it, but because they're afraid of what will happen if they don't. Yeah. It makes no sense.
Doesn't build confidence either. It's just confidence. They're doing it because they have to do it.
Yeah, they're just moving away from fear. Yeah, and they're still super insecure or whatever, which is fine. But it's the process in which people talk about integrity. I'm it doesn't make sense.
Sounds like then you're very particular about
definitions.
Being precise with your language, which I can understand. The very interesting thing about this to me, though, is that language it's the means by which we communicate and we understand each other. But because every definition of every word is going to be partially subjectively based on your own experience, like if I have, this is just pure hypothetical, did not happen, but let's just say I have like a younger sibling that drowned in a lake when I was little. Mentally, I'm going to have a very different connotation for like water sports and things like that than you do when you just see a vacation spot. So on the one hand, language is to some extent about vibes. But on the other, it seems that a lot of communication with buzzwords like authenticity, authority, influence, value, all these different things, just like integrity, they become buzzwords because the vibe sounds good. And so we're like, oh, that technically sounds correct, but then don't really dive into what that is. So how do you think integrity became a buzzword? Like what is the function behind that has that erroneous definition attached?
Yeah, I'll mention two things. In terms of like this could go super deep and granular, but I'll just overview this. You'd mentioned at first that everybody has different definitions of every word. Like we all have different definitions of everything. So when I'm coaching someone and they even tell me as an example, I went through extreme trauma at 15. Before I even believe them, the only thing I'm doing is I believe that you believe that.
Yeah.
That's it. Other than that, I'm like, I have no idea what that means. Because to me, if you just say I went through extreme trauma at 15, what I picture based on what you just described in that vague term, in the vague sentence, could be so different.
Yeah,
it's different.
It's arbitrary.
And so it's like, does that mean that like someone just like did that? Or does that mean you were like pummeled to death? So I have no idea what that means. So I'm a big fan, and this is what I meant by high level answer to that piece, is I'm a big fan of asking people like, what do you mean by that? Give me an example. Because I'm like, I want a tight definition. So there's that. And then in terms of integrity, I don't say I would even know where it becoming a buzzword came from, but what I do know from what I've seen is that people who, many of us, especially in the business, online coaching, personal development space, there was some really big people who we all look up to, who we want to be more like. They started using it, and because of their beliefs around what that meant, and they just started preaching and talking about it. I was, shouldn't have been, but I was on Instagram driving here.
Multitasking.
Yeah, I'm not telling anyone that they should.
We'll push this out for 3 years, so statute of limitations passes.
But I saw someone who, again, is in a community that you and I and Joe are a part of, and it was a story of her working out, doing leg press, and it literally said something to the degree of like, I have integrity, I always follow through on my word, I show up every day and I never miss. And I was like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. And so it's just, it's almost like because we all have role models and we want to be like them, even unconsciously, we just start adopting the way that they talk and believe about things. But integrity is not even a thing.
Yeah.
So what word would you replace the common perception of integrity with?
I don't think I would. If I could, I would, because it would be just as challenging to do that at a macro scale as it would be to do what I would actually do. So what I would do instead is, if I could just, and I had my way with it, I would choose to have everyone just get clear on the definition so they use it in the right context. Because it really just means like going back to me and you, for example, let's say if you valued thrill, excitement, adrenaline, flings with women, like if that's what you've actually valued, because maybe you're, say, a 22-year-old man, that's just the stage of life you're in. If you're going to the bars every night, you're trying to hook up, you're doing those things, by definition, you're in integrity with your own values. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Because if you were to try to be like settling down and building a business and being quote unquote mature and responsible,
so like the lack of congruence.
You're literally, exactly, you're not congruent with your current values. And so integrity isn't even a good or bad thing. It's just, if you're clear on what you value and you're in alignment with that every day, you have integrity. You're being integral process.
Yeah.
Right. Does that make sense? So I'd change the definition instead.
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't think we have a word today that is an accurate descriptor of that disjunction? Like if we just say, okay, integrity is actually acting according to who you are at your most fundamental level. Like all consequences off the table, all
Yeah.
rules off the table, just your natural state of being is integrity, or like your default.
Yeah.
It sounds like you don't really think we have an accurate word that would encompass that.
The congruence.
Yeah, congruence with someone else's.
Well, technically, that is like being in integrity. You could call it being authentic to yourself and all that. But then here's the other challenge: is like if I wake up one day and I'm like, you know what, this life of marriage and being a great father and business, like I don't want any of this anymore. I want to like live in some radically different lifestyle. If I continue, if that's now what I just wake up and suddenly that's important to me, if I continue to be a good father and a loving husband and all those things, I am now out of integrity. So it's like you've got to be always updating, like not updating, you have to be always aware of what your updated values are as you go through life. So it's not like I believe that there's one way of describing all of it. I just think that people need to understand what they're describing.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a coach, like the three of us are, like a lot of people who we look up to, know what you're actually asking people to do. Because waking up at 3 a.m. just to be successful, that has nothing to do with it. That's just lack of fucking sleep. And if you want to do that because you value what that feels like to you, then you are in integrity. But it's just, being authentic to what you value, to what you hold as important at this stage of your life.
And then to your point of integrity not being right or wrong, it sounds like you could make the argument that sometimes the right thing to do is to be out of integrity. Because anytime anyone makes a moral claim, that's an appeal to some universal truth. Like whether we both accept it or not, if I say it is good that XYZ, that's appealing to something beyond my subjective experience.
I think it also depends on how you evaluate whether or not something's good or bad, right or wrong, right? So for example, if somebody is highly religious and they're a Christian and they have, be it scripture, the Bible, the priest, whatever their interpretation of all that is, the way that they might interpret good and bad, right or wrong, could be extremely different than someone who is an atheist. And I'm not even making this about religion, right? Just like a way of looking at life. And so it's still like we've all learned what good, bad, right, wrong is. And so even in integrity and morals and all that, like we've learned what's right. We've learned what's wrong. Now,
have we? That's a very bold claim to make.
No, for sure.
Because there's so much disagreement.
Well, I think there's just a lot of like subjectiveness. I think the whole moral of the story is there's subjectiveness and all. Like I don't know if it was Alex Hormozi, but did you see the video of him explaining, or probably wasn't him, but there was like this paradox where you have this like tons of sand. It's like a hill, or like you call it a hill or a mount, and then you pick each grain of sand off. Eventually, it just gets down to 1 grain of sand. So, like, at what point is it not a mount and it's just a tiny hill? At what point is the hill just like a grain of sand or like just a pile of sand? Like, all these words that we use to describe things, they mean to different things to different people.
And one thing I will add in quick on this is that I do believe to a large degree that good, if we're just going to like some sort of definition of good, and this is like a loose, but if something that you are doing or believing or acting upon is good for you, your neighbors, so to speak, and like the greater good of humanity, even if it's like tiny, 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 then quote unquote, it's good. If it is somehow good just for you because it feels good in the moment, but it's not serving any higher purpose, your family, your friends, your community, the greater good, then I would say like that's probably not the greatest thing. But again, that's also my definition. So my thing comes in the end. The question I always ask myself is, who am I to determine what is right or wrong for you? Why am I holier than thou, for lack of better words, to say that the way you're living is wrong? Now, that doesn't mean there's not major consequences. We all have to live with the consequences, the positive and negative of our actions. But it's like, why is what you're doing wrong? Because I believe it's wrong? And so I like to get very granular with definitions just so I'm clear that, like, if Gabe doesn't have the life he wants or the results in his life he wants in any aspect, what's preventing you from getting it? That's all I care about, really. And as long as you're not, like, hurting people through the process.
But my point is, like, even in saying, oh, you shouldn't hurt people, that is a values judgment. Like, any values judgment inherently is an appeal, again, to objectivity.
Yeah.
And so I agree with, what you're saying, Joe. There is a subjective component in that each individual person has different values that they accept as being objective.
Yeah.
But you can't regulate society, let alone just a simple interaction between two people, without having something in common you can point to. Similar to how with language, we can mean slightly different things with the words we use, but there's a close enough approximation that it's actually a valuable medium to exchange ideas.
And there has to be, otherwise we'd be just defining a sentence all day. You wouldn't get anywhere, right? So there has to be some amount of, like, I will clarify with someone, right? If you and I are talking and when I hear a certain word, I'm like, that's not what I think that, and I'm like, hold on. What does that mean? Okay. And now at least I'm clarifying what it means to you, so I'm on the same page, so we can actually get somewhere. But just in terms of, like, a way to live a life, it's just being clear on your own values and beliefs and all that. Now, there's something else I wanted to mention. This is where things, part of my language, get a bit fucked up and a bit blurry, right?
Tyler cussing?
So let's say I have certain values, right? Let's say the audience member who's listening right now and then us three. Let's say we all value honesty, just telling the truth. That's a whole thing in itself. Like, what's true? Let's just...
Objectivity.
I know, exactly, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, just like for sake of argument, let's say we value just truth, whatever that means to you. Great. Well, here's what's important about human beings. We have learned what's important to us, truth, loyalty, so on and so forth. But there's what we've learned to believe is most important to us, and then there's our needs. As I don't know if he's going to go over them in Business Mastery, but Tony Robbins, at least at his other events, talks about these 6 human needs. They're inborn in the nervous system. They're not learned. We all have different ways of getting them, but to keep it very simple, every human being on earth, you included, and all of us here, no matter how great we think we are, we will all violate what we believe is important to meet our needs.
Yeah.
And a very simple example of this is, and you can think about this yourself as you listen, how many of us raise our hand if we value truth, like telling the truth? Raise your hand, right? Have we ever lied before in our life?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Now we might say, oh, but it was a white lie. You're saying that to logically justify the behavior.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you said, I won't use that one because there could be kids watching. It doesn't matter if you said, oh, I didn't eat the last cookie or I did. What? You still told a lack of truth to justify... I don't want to get into that conversation. It's to feel comfortable. And so, again, I'm not saying right or wrong. What I'm saying is humans will do things to meet their needs, and they will put their values on the shelf.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's really just like the way that that's going to look is different for everybody. I know so many moms who feel guilty for being amazing moms, but because of their idea of what being a great mom looks like, they feel guilty every day. And they're phenomenal. So it's like...
You're saying because they're doing great, but they don't think they're doing great?
Their definition of it, right? Out of...
And so it's like, we look at them, we're like, wow, you're an amazing... Like, oh my God, I can't believe... And they're like, inside.
Yeah.
And so this is why I'm like, it doesn't really matter what good, bad, right, or wrong is. It's like, what are the results you're producing in how you feel and also in individuals around you? If you're hurting people, I don't give a crap what your values are. We need to change something because this isn't good for the greater good. That was a deep answer.
Yeah. So where are we going with this, Gabe?
It could get very granular. The next thing I wanted to kind of bounce to off of that, because with you talking about integrity, getting very clear on terms, this is something that I really appreciated in a recent episode that I did with Joe. I think it was episode 3 where we did just kind of a deep dive on like my own mindset and these different things. And one of the things that I really appreciate about both of you is your ability to kind of call out those assume definitions and things like that.
Big time in
there was a point where I was talking about something. I was like, well, what if this? What if that? And Joe's like, that doesn't even matter. Like, or what do you mean by this specifically? And one of the points we made on a previous episode was the value of coaching and getting that outside perspective. But what do you both do in your own lives to try to identify where you're assuming a definition or assuming that something just is the way it is?
I think it's just not asking yourself, that's why Tyler's one of his favorite questions is, what do you mean by that? Because some people, they'll just throw out definitions or they'll throw out limiting beliefs and they don't even think twice about like, what does that even mean? Or like, what do I mean by that thing? So all the time there's limiting beliefs in coaching or, pricing, putting yourself in front of camera, and they might have a limiting belief on something, or they'll think it's, good, bad, what if this happens, what if that happens? And they haven't even thought about like, well, what do you mean by that? And then you, in a way, like as a good coach, like you keep asking questions until they get to the root of maybe their definition was completely off, or maybe this isn't actually a bad thing. Sort of like what we were talking about on our first episode about stress. Like I was putting a negative label on all the work I have to do with stress, with the work that I have to get done. And I was labeling it as stress. And I was saying this is stressful. And to most people out there, stress is a bad thing. But inherently, it's really not. Like your body needs stress to a degree. And if you can reframe how you think about something or what do you mean by stress, you could put that same label on something else. It's the same thing with like, I'm nervous to get on stage. Well, the same feelings that come from nerves is excitement. Mm-hmm. Like your heart starts to pump, it pumps a little bit. Like maybe you're anxious a little bit. You get the feeling in your stomach. You could attribute that to excitement too. So helping them reframe what it is, or even just like think twice about what the definition is. That's how I usually go about that process.
Gotcha. And to run with Tyler's idea of integrity while I'm thinking of it too, something that I hear a lot, not just on calls, but something that I see generally, is people have this idea that you need to be yourself on social media and this, that, the other thing. But then at the same time, there's also clearly rules to the game. I mean, broadly speaking, you have to play within the community guidelines or whatever they're called. But then there's also best practices for, hooks and retention beats and engagement and all these different things. So how do you approach the conversation in content creation and in branding of being in integrity, being genuine, if we're going to assume, just assume a common definition for that, because that's another loaded term. But yeah, if we just assume that, you're trying to be in integrity generally, you're trying to meet those needs, things like that. How do you approach that in, content creation, branding, everything like that?
Yeah. Well, I would say one big mistake is people way over index on the strategies or the hooks or the audios. Like they're way too ingrained in making sure the structure fits, and then they don't even find themselves or like figure out who they are, what their beliefs are, what their opinions are. So I do the opposite. I make sure that they have a very clear definition on their values, their opinions, their viewpoints, what do they stand for, what do they stand against, like what is their niche, who are they speaking to. And then we can go into the frameworks and the hooks and the structural pieces of posting content. I guess where you would be out of integrity with this is if the strategy sort of over looms, or if the strategy causes you to be completely different on camera. Like if you're only doing things because you want a specific outcome, like views or followers or whatnot, then that's where it becomes more of a slippery slope. Whereas if you just post, things that you actually think or believe, but we do it within the realm of, the structure, I feel like that's where you can find like a good balance. But people way over index on the strategies.
So you're basically saying to always start with the end in mind, and never once do you want to be in a situation where you go, oh, well, I guess live streaming is a thing now, so I have to go live every day.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Figure out who you are, what you want.
And to bounce it back to you, Tyler, how do you identify what is actually in integrity with yourself?
What is my outcome and what is most important to me? And so if I was thinking about Joe's answer to this, if live streaming is like the new go there, and I know that using that will help me to get my outcome, and I do value the coaching, the information, whatever it is that I'm going to be preaching on that, I'm still in integrity if I do that.
Yeah.
And so like, just so I'm extremely clear, what was your question again?
How do you identify what is actually in integrity with yourself?
So at the simplest level for any audience listening to this, if I ask myself, Tyler, what is most important to you in life? And I just sit on that in a second and I realize, oh, freedom, love, whatever comes up for me, if my actions and such are, and I'm not saying this has to be every moment of every day, just to be clear, but like generally speaking, if my actions every day and all that are moving me toward those values, I'm feeling more peaceful because of XYZ things I'm doing. If I'm feeling more of a sense of love towards me, myself, and those I care about, that I'm in integrity, then it's in integrity. When I was 19, I promise you, I valued what I was telling you before about right? Like the thrill, the excitement, all that. Yeah, but it's true, right?
Yeah.
And I was even telling Sophia, I'm like, there's a stage of life for everything. Imagine if you're, in your late teens, early 20s, and you never did any of the quote unquote wild, irresponsible, blah, blah, blah things. You might get to the point. Might is the big word here. You might get to the point where when you have a family and all these things, there's a part of you that's like, man, I want to and now because this is where it wouldn't be good. I hate the word good after this conversation, but it wouldn't be
appropriate.
Yes, that's very accurate. It would not be appropriate with your life and everything going on to go live a crazy, wild, hookup, blah, blah, blah kind of life. It's like, if you're doing that when those are your values, then that's how you know.
I also think,
it's like what's important to you and living out what's important to you.
Yeah. Well, I also think going back to that streaming example, let's just say you're self-aware enough to know that, okay, maybe that is a good avenue to get views, but it's going to be pulling teeth to get you to hop on a live thing. And so you're doing it while knowing deep down that this is not something I want to be doing. This doesn't serve, freedom at the end. Yeah. I feel like in a way you'd be out of integrity.
Sure.
So
And that, again, right, I started with outcome. What is my outcome here? And if it's not what I want, meaning not the outcome I'm after, then there's so many ways to get to the same result.
Well, how do you discern what you want versus what maybe is required? Let's say you run a company, you can't just base every single decision off of oh, that's not what I want because it doesn't give me ultimate freedom.
There's different levels to want though, right? We've talked about this before even of there's the surface level momentary comfort of I don't want to get up at this time. I don't want to do this work today. But then there's also the long-term goal that you also want. And there's a great line from C.S. Lewis, I forget which one of his books, but he talks about how being driven by desire is not in itself a functional way to live your life because every desire you have will demand to be satisfied at the expense of all other desires. And so to take it back to objectivity, again,
you can never win.
No, it's you need some sort of external hierarchy of values so you can understand what desires actually move me toward who I want to be and what I want to do versus, and that want, again, is not just a gut, I want to get this candy bar or whatever, but it's Tyler's point, outcomes, which is an act of the will and the soul, not just kind of a default, which I think is also a great point that it occurred to me as you were speaking, which is that when I'm hearing you talk about integrity originally, I'm kind of assuming that it is just the default state. But there's a lot more choice and free will that goes into it.
Yeah.
With what you were saying, if you have chosen a certain state in life, being in integrity to some extent is going to be determined by that outcome. So if we take the ship analogy, you can say, okay, the hull has a certain shape. But it's like that for a reason. The ship was built a certain way. Mm-hmm. And so to be in integrity is not to try to, if you're a big tanker ship, it's not an integrity to treat that as you would a sailboat or something like that.
It's all different.
But it's 100%, it's 100% true. I got excited about when you said hierarchy of values because that's an important point to bring up. Think about this. Let's say let's say we're talking about 20 values all the way down, but we'll only talk 2, the top and bottom. Let's say my highest value in life is freedom, and my lowest value in life is safety. Think about the personality and the behaviors and the things that this person would be doing, right? They would skydiving and all the because freedom and safety is way down there.
Yeah.
Now take that same person, don't change anything about their values except for the top and bottom. Safety is now their highest. Freedom is their lowest.
Completely different.
Completely 180 in personality. And so the integrity of the behaviors that that person will be doing are going to flip literally 180. Right. And so it's like, that's an important part of knowing what's important to you is like in the hierarchy in which like promotion for Tony Robbins, not that he needs it, go to Date with Destiny.
You're welcome,
You'll
Tony.
understand everything I'm saying because you find out what do you value most in life at this stage of your life. But more importantly than that is the hierarchy in which those are important to you. Because if love is most important, I'll give you a simple example, but great for entrepreneurs. If your highest value in life is success, as an example, and right below that is love, that's already going to cause some issues in your marriage or family because you can point out that person from a mile away because that person would be the one who, let's say, in the middle of dinner with their family, they're taking the business call if one comes up. If you just flip those two values, right? If success is now right below love, they might see that come up and say, no, I got to take that after dinner. I'm going to put that phone away. And because love is what they value most, the second it's done, then they go take the call. So it changes the way that you think, feel, and behave on a regular basis. So integrity, you can look at it, you can think of it as being unified with what you value. It's just living towards what you value most. That's all it is.
Do you feel like people assume that they have a specific hierarchy and it happens to be different? Because I feel like there's a lot of examples where people will say, oh, love, spouse, like family, that's my highest value, and then business would come second, but they're treating business as sort of their hierarchy. It's bleeding into their life. And
Stated versus revealed preference, right?
I think people just, they think that their values should be one way because it would quote unquote sound better to the person that they're talking
Stated
to.
versus revealed.
Yeah, exactly. Like it doesn't feel good. I'll give you guys a real example. When I went to Date with Destiny and I did this for myself, I had found out I was living as like a bachelor, and I don't mean like cheating or any of that stuff. What I mean very specifically is like my highest value in life was freedom. And then below that, it was just basically, if you took my top five values, it just pointed to a single man. And there was nothing wrong with that because I was being loyal and all those things. The problem with it was I wanted as much space day to day as I could get of like me time. I didn't want to ever ask her, who's now my wife. I forgot that on the kitchen table.
I'm also married.
I was doing dishes and eating chicken.
I am not married for all the zero ladies watching this.
Yeah.
And so like, it was to the point where like when I went to bed, I was even realizing it was annoying me that she would come sleep in my bed because I wanted to sprawl and all that, like all just very single person things.
Said no man ever.
But I'm serious. And so this is what I mean by like, you need to know what it is that you value and what your outcomes in life at this stage are, because otherwise you're going to have inner conflict. It's the same thing as people in business. They want to get on a sales call, but don't want to feel sleazy. Yes, because your beliefs about what sales are is not service. It's some other thing. So it's like, just unify what you value and believe, and you will get whatever you want in life at a rapid speed so fast, it'll be ridiculous. I had a client the other day tell me, he's like, I know you preach like, quick changes online, but he's like, I think just so you know, if you're okay with it, this might take a bit longer. And I said, I think if you're okay with it, it's fucking not. I said, because the second that you actually believe, the second that you have the right beliefs and values pointed in the same direction, there's going to be no like chatting on the fucking call the whole time. It's going to be like, I want this. I want it now. I feel great about it. I have no inner conflict. Why are we on the phone? Can I just go get the thing? And I say, yes, just go get the thing. So like you can have whatever you want right now if you're in alignment with your own integrity.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah.
And another point too about value, since we're being so precise with words, the idea of value is a completely human invention. It implies a sort of numerical rating, and this is also part of how markets work in general. The reason any exchange happens, whether it's like, I give you money for X, or like you and Joe with the kind of the running joke of you guys are trading coaching back and forth, right? There is a mismatch between the value of those two things. I value my money, or rather, I value like your advice more than I value my money, and you value my money more than your advice. And so that's where
Okay.
the exchange happens, right? And so it's the kind of thing where, to your point, you can't truly have two. What am I trying to say here? We speak of a value with something like honesty. We say, oh, I value honesty, but it's not a question of yes or no. It's a question of how much.
Yeah.
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 And so,
True.
yeah. And so to your point, right, you can't ever truly have two things on the same level. You might say, okay, right now in this moment, love is the highest priority with like family dinner or whatever. But then also, you know, do I actually value that so highly that I'm going to drop literally anything at any time
Yeah.
to go attend a family or not? That is an objective measure, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, and a simple way of putting that too is like to the man or the businesswoman or man who says Monday to Friday between X and X time, business is the most important thing to me. You know, for my own status, financial stability, to take care, like for all the reasons. And then Saturday, Sunday, I refuse to take any calls. Like for me on Saturday, Sunday, I won't even look at my WhatsApp. And it's just because like there are days that like there's nothing that will be more important than family. Now, mind you, it's like even during the day, family is the most important thing to me. And so business does two things for me. It meets my need or my values rather for financial stability and freedom, status, because that's still an important thing to me as a man. And most importantly, to take care of my family.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the center of my mind always. So like even if Sophia needs to bring Luca in because whatever she has to do and she can't like physically hold on to him and all that, I'll hang on to him during a sales call. And if he starts crying, I will literally tell them like, sorry, you got to give me a minute, or like family first. So it's like, to your point, there's always moments to moments where like it's shifting a bit based on the fact you have to do other things in your life. But I do believe that there is like a North Star. Now you can always change the North Star. It's malleable.
Mm-hmm.
But in every moment there is still that North Star.
there's always an
until it's
organizing
changed.
principle.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a great point too. It's like in the moment you can say business is the most important thing to me, but the only reason you're saying that is because you need some time on your calendar to actually address that and to have it happen. But
Correct.
it's still in service of the family.
Exactly. And that's for me, right? Somebody a lot of people could have that.
That's integrity for you. That might not be integrity. Like for me, I'm incredibly single. Family is not a huge shut up. Family is not a huge priority for me right now.
Of course.
Because it's not the season in life. So it's not my North Star. God willing, eventually will be, but right now it's completely irrelevant.
For sure.
So,
Yeah.
And so it's just like when people say like know who you are and all that, like this I won't even go down this rabbit hole right now, but it goes into a larger conversation because we all have our values based on what we've learned is important. And so if you really want to know where you learn that, look at one of two places, either your greatest role models in life and or your parents, because that's where it all started. I don't care if you love them or you think you hate them, you fucking learned them there. Because you were completely open as a baby. You learned what you had to do or not to do to be loved, blah, blah, blah. You learned what's important to be a functional, surviving human being. Boom, you got values. But then you start to have friends that you look up to or mentors or whomever, and you start taking their values and beliefs, so your life starts to go in a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I say it like, oh, no big deal, super easy, but it's just I've been doing this for 10 years. So it's like,
Yeah.
if you want new results in life, you have to change your values, period.
Facts.
I'd be curious for both of you actually in your businesses, what would you say is the most common value that people have that holds them back from seeing success with,
Comfort.
coaching business, things like that?
Yeah. You said it.
I was going to give it to you, and I was like, let me just throw this in quick.
Yeah. No, it's definitely comfort.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest values.
Define comfort.
Tyler, I think you probably have a better definition.
I
You're the
got
definitions guy.
one word for
You
it.
don't have a definition, Joe?
I do. Tyler's is probably so much better.
I'll just say this, familiarity. And when I say familiarity, coming from a field where I've helped people through suicidal ideations to addictions to agoraphobia, which is like the fear of even leaving, like the weirdest and most detrimental problems, we as humans and businesses too, we value comfort, aka what's familiar to us, so much that we will mess up our whole life to stay comfortable. Now we will maybe hate that we're messing up our life or our business, but at least we are familiar with it.
Yeah.
So
Or even
people-
safety too.
That's what I mean.
It's like
Safety,
what Austin says
familiarity,
about
yeah.
like, your brain is designed to keep you safe. Like you are
100%.
going to do everything and your brain's going to do everything in its power to not do something new. It could even be something as stupid as showing yourself in front of camera. Like in a way, your brain has convinced you that somehow that's going to be dangerous or scary. It's not comfortable. And so, yeah, to your point, that holds so many people back.
And so that would be an example of being in integrity with the shorter term focus as opposed to like longer term what you
If they don't have the goals, though, I feel like if
this is I'm glad that you said that, and I will only the can of worms. I'm not going to pour them all out. That wouldn't necessarily. I'd have to ask more questions about the individual's model of the world. It could be because maybe they value comfort or safety, control, whatever at the highest. But it could also be that they're valuing, financial success and all these things that are making them want to go towards building a business.
Mm-hmm.
But because their comfort level is only so big, now they're starting to grow and they're hitting that ceiling. So fear kicks in. And when fear kicks in, that's when we put our values to the side and we want to meet our needs.
Mm-hmm.
And so, this is something where people have to, step out of that comfort zone to be able to even meet those values. This is where inner conflict comes in. Let me be very clear. I might value business status, financial freedom, and all the things that point me towards business and success. But if I haven't even got my first client yet or posted on social or done anything like that, that's going to bring me outside of my comfort zone. So now I have inner conflict between the business stuff and the serving and the money and all that stuff. I have inner conflict between that and wanting to stay comfortable. So I will be thinking about business all day, wanting to post, or I'll post, and then safety's like, no, delete it. So I'll delete it, and then I'll get angry at myself, and I'm like, no, I'm doing it. So I post, and I delete it, or I go to get ready on live, and it goes 3, 2, and I'm like, no, end. This is where inner conflict.
Yeah.
We have to resolve that. So they could be valuing safety or comfort at the highest, but typically,
I don't think so, though. I think it's just that's the barrier that gets them in the way.
Exactly.
And as long as they're challenging themselves and not just completely giving into it, I feel like they are in integrity with getting to the point where they can.
Yeah. And I would
the
agree with
business.
that because typically somebody wouldn't even think about
Yeah,
starting a business
exactly.
if the comfort was the highest value. So I think it's just inner conflict because they're valuing all those things that business would point to business success. But it's the fear of all that keeps them meeting that need for comfort. So they just retract. They self-sabotage.
Now, you're not a fan of exposure therapy. So how do you start to address that fear when it surfaces?
I think the biggest thing, and I'm going to if I got commission for the amount of shit I sold of Tony's, it would be ridiculous. But no, it's exactly just that, learning how to change your emotional state. And it's one of the easiest things to do. But as humans, somehow, be it through culture, therapy, online, it doesn't matter where, we've just not learned to do this. You could call it emotional regulation. You could call it whatever. But if we change your emotional mental state right now from fear to, say, feeling confident, from fear to strong, from fear to whatever, in that very moment, you will feel like the thing that you're going to do right in front of you is effortless versus terrifying. So at Tony's UPW, you learn to change how you're feeling emotionally in a drop of a dime, and you storm across fire. But you go from I'm terrified to boom, and you do it, and you're like, oh, fuck, that was easy.
Yeah.
And so it's the same in life. I don't like exposure therapy simply because in my world, the way people talk about it is that if you're deathly afraid, keep doing it until you're not. It's usually, if I'm feeling terrified and I go try to do the thing that I'm terrified to do, your body remembers what you felt when you were doing something.
Yeah, you saw the exact same feeling. So,
you
how is
keep
it going to be different next time you do
keep
it?
associating that same feeling to the thing again, again, again. The only way you create a new feeling towards something is you got to feel something new while doing it at the same time, because then the brain can connect it. There's nothing to connect it.
And so if you aren't doing that, it's almost like you're creating
torturing
a
yourself
feedback loop
over and
to
over again.
reinforce the negative.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
That's exactly
that
it,
sense.
right? Because and that's what I try to explain to clients in my online presence in a nutshell is I have nothing against therapists, exposure. It's not that. It's just if you granularly break down what exposure therapy is just do it until you're quote unquote used to it. That's a shitty quality of life. If let's say I was terrified to get on camera and do this, and right now I'm like, and then when we're done and we go back downstairs or we're hanging out or whatever and we talk about this, all I'm gonna remember is feeling.
The feeling. Yeah.
And so this is all I'm associating to it the whole time. So before I even come on here, there's got to be a shift in how I'm feeling emotionally. So when I'm starting and talking, there's a new feeling of comfort, playfulness, excitement, whatever, that I'm associating to while I'm doing this. So this is why I talk about you have to break the emotional association you have to doing something first. Then, when you're in a good state and you do it, that's how you'll remember it now. So the brain is always making those connections.
So for my personal brand clients, how can we tie this back to them, right? Like, what would you say if they're scared to put themselves in front of camera, or if they're scared to double their prices? Like, because, and we'll get into this, you charging like quadruple, you just decided that yesterday. So we'll get into that here in a second. But how have you gotten to the point where like you're not afraid to like quadruple or triple your prices and you just do it like that?
So in order to make any change like that, we have to get to what I call an emotional threshold. An emotional threshold is the point in the nervous system where we feel like not another day, not another moment. I'm fucking sick and tired. Something's got to change now. And it's not logical. It's an emotional like this. When you hit that point, very often changing the emotions that you associate to something, typically, not always, it changes in that very moment. So like yesterday, I'll even say it, that's totally fine. I'm so tired. I'm tired of tire kickers anyway. That was my emotional threshold. So $15,000 for personal and then $5,000 for group. And when you get to the point where you're like, this is stupid, people are wasting my time, or I'm wasting my own, or I need more time with fit, whatever the emotional is, when you hit that, you can then change how you feel. So it's like, okay, I hit that with my old price at $6,000 and $10,000, so screw it. Only people who are dead serious this. And then I imagine this is part of changing how you feel about something. When I thought about the $15,000 price, I literally imagined, even just for a second, about what I would be doing with my day-to-day life and time and the type of client who would pay that. I thought about my day-to-day life and what that would look like and feel like if $15,000 was what people were paying me and then $5,000 for the other thing. And I immediately felt new emotional association to it. I immediately felt the sense of freedom and the sense of excitement and more time with my family, what I value most. So I hit a threshold. Then I just imagined, I saw it in my mind and felt in my body what it would feel like and be like for this new association. And it reinforces itself immediately. Yeah.
Does that get rid of any of the other doubts? Like for me, for instance, if I was to double or quadruple my prices, something in my head that, I don't know if this is a limiting belief or just like, this is probably just logical. A lot of the people that I would be talking to, they probably just wouldn't be able to afford it. So like when you're thinking about raising your price to, let's say, $15,000, do you still have that doubt like, oh, now 70% of the calls that I take probably won't sign up? Or is that going to be solved by like the $5,000 offer? Or how do you go through that?
So it being solved by the $5,000 offers is one of the parts of it, because I think there is a part to emotion that is somewhat logical. That doesn't sound like it makes sense, but what I mean is the only reason that we keep feeling something towards something is because it is reinforced by logic. That makes sense? So we will make decisions out of emotion, but justify them logically. That's how we keep feeling the same thing. So with that being said, part of this is like, let's say I raise my price to $15,000, or for people who are already way higher than that, $50,000. It doesn't matter what your thing is. If you have 20 sales calls that week and you have 19 people saying no, everything in your nervous system for the sake of safety, right? For the sake of comfort, oh my God, I need to feed my family, oh my God, this is a bad idea, etc., is going to scream at you like, go back down, go back to what I'm familiar with, what I'm comfortable with. But the second that one person says yes, your brain's like, I'm a fucking rock star. I'm fucking beat. And now what the emotions you associate to it is, this is true, this is real, people want it, this is my new normal. Yeah. And so that's the one thing. And then the branding part, you asked me about that too. Ask yourself a different question than what you even want to be known for. I would be asking, what do I want people to feel when they think about Tyler? Now, ironically, people don't feel what I want them to feel when they think about me, but it's universal, it seems, which is fucking weird to me. And so, like, I'm not saying, like, I've mastered this. What I'm saying is, like, this is the North Star you want to try to aim for all the time. People associate hope to me because they've been through all the therapies, all the everything, and they see me online, and they're like, wow, big promise, this is everything I want. I actually have hope now. It's not what I'm aiming for, but that is the current thing. And every single person in 10 years has said hope. And I'm like, all right, well, if that works for you, I guess, great. But I would think, what do you want people to associate emotionally with you? The logic, they're going to justify it no matter what.
Yeah.
So if, like, what I want people to associate me with is premium and exclusive, right? Not hope, which again is still nothing wrong with that. Hope is a beautiful thing. But if you start with, again, your outcome, this is all full circle. If you start with your outcome of what do you want people to feel when they think about you, you can then start to orient your way very quickly to that, right? There's a different behavior online you'll show up with. There's different words you'll use. There's a different way of talking. Instead of like, that phobia, I know you can't get in the elevator and do all these things. Like, I promise, all you got to do is X, Y, Z. You can do this. Maybe that's hope. Hey, you fucking pussy. Like, only wussies can't get in the elevator. But if you want to be like that boss ass who walks onto the stage because you have your fear, more of a maybe I'm being playful, but there's ways of talking and showing up that will just create different associations with you.
Yeah. What did you start with? How much did you charge your first client?
Ever?
Yeah.
Like ever?
Yeah.
$750 Canadian for 3 months.
That's like what, $400 or something? 500 USD? That's crazy.
Yeah, about 500 USD
So not bad.
for 3 months.
Everyone starts somewhere, right? But why start low,
Another question I'd have on that front. The emotional threshold bit really jumped out at me because this was also part of the conversation that Joe and I had in episode 3, which is like getting to that point of actually not just saying like, oh, I want to make a change, because everybody wants to make $1 million.
Like actually doing it.
Very few people are actually like, I'm committed, I'm going after this. Given that it's not a logical process, and because I'm a pretty cerebral person by nature, this is one of my big sticking points. It's like, we even said this on the episode. I'm like, Joe, logically, I understand that all of these are excuses. That doesn't make them any less real in my own head.
Yeah.
And one of the things that is...
Notice, I want you to keep going, but notice that it doesn't make them any less real in your head means you feel them as real.
Exactly.
Right? Continue.
Exactly.
I just wanted to point that out to the
audience.
audience.
Yeah, for sure. What was the... It was something absolutely brilliant. Hang on. Basically the idea being, you can logic your way there, but if you don't have that emotional piece to actually buy into it, to your point, that's the precondition for any of the logic actually making sense, because otherwise it doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think is one of the greatest blessings and greatest curses that we have as human beings is that we are so adaptable. Human beings can get used to almost anything. And I think that is one of the big issues I know for me personally, but just, when I'm looking at like people I knew in college, friends from back home, stuff like that, it's very easy to acclimate to a bad situation and just convince yourself that it's not that bad because you don't want to go through the pain of addressing it, or maybe it objectively just isn't painful enough for you to make a change.
Yeah.
So to the extent that you can, how do you set things up to kind of speed up or reinforce that emotional threshold actually being met?
So it's a really great question. I'll give you the 50,000 foot view, and you tell me if you want me to go more granular. In order to make a change, especially one that lasts, keep in mind, all change happens in a moment. It never takes time. Even if it takes like 10 years to get to the moment, it happened in a moment where you made the decision of never again, let's begin, blah, blah, blah. So you need to have the pain that makes you go like, I want something different. You need to have enough pain of that. The problem is if we don't set up a new direction to move towards, then what we're going to end up doing is probably keep falling into other crappy situations. Because this crappy situation with these people, this town, whatever, this situation made me feel I'm in pain. But this crappy situation doesn't feel very painful yet. So we might hop back and forth. What we need is when we are moving away from pain, we need to move toward pleasure. So we need to, like what I do with my clients is I often explain, like, we're going to get you out of this quickly, but what do you really want? Most people are like, they're just so confused. They have no idea.
They have no clue what they want.
Every time you ask people, like, what do you want? I don't want that. What do you want? I don't want that. What do you want? So you need the carrot and the stick.
Yeah.
And my preference is if you are making the stick something that you choose for you and with a long enough time horizon to achieve it that you're pulled towards it for a while, not a temporary. Because again, once it's over, now we're back to a crap situation.
Yeah.
Does that answer? I don't know if it did.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that makes sense because, I mean, pain fundamentally is a protective measure. Like if you're in physical pain, emotional pain, whatever, that's an indication that something is wrong and there's a situation that you need to leave, which arguably is even a good thing because if you, as a human being, don't have any pain receptors, you're just bumbling along one day and then suddenly you die.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I bled out and I didn't notice, right?
Yeah. Pain is a signal to the brain something's going on.
Yeah, so it's like we got to change it, but to your point, not just making the pain so intense that you have to do something else, but actually knowing like, okay, this is bad, and also I want to go this way specifically.
And what's really interesting that you did not ask me, but I will throw this in for some like voodoo magic stuff here, is pain is a signal to the brain that something's wrong, be it emotional pain, be it physical pain. What's interesting, again, complete side note, but just interesting, people who've had like their arms or limbs ripped off or bitten off sharks, whatever the case might be, what's really interesting is often they experience phantom pain.
Yeah.
That's literally in their head because the pain receptor keeps firing off as if it's still there. And so what happens is through like a very simple hypnotic process, you can actually have the brain turn off the pain because that's not useful. There's nothing I can do with the pain. It's already completely gone. But if I'm feeling like pain here, but there's no limb there, turn the pain off.
Yeah.
So you can do that even if the pain is still real. For example, like they've done it where they've brought people to either give birth or go through surgeries, and they just have a hypnotist who's actually good at what they do, for the record. I'm not even talking about me, although I'm good at it. I'm just like, you can fucking do. No, like people who are actually good. And they're turning off the pain, and they often find that works sometimes better than painkillers. This is completely off subject. But yes, you need the pain to get you to want to change the situation, and then you need to have a direction to move towards, or you'll end up in a similarly shitty situation until it's bad enough. You need somewhere to go.
Interesting.
And can I address one thing?
Yeah.
You don't need to want to change. This is another, I have like 5 or 6 of these burning about the coaching industry. People are like, oh, you gotta want to change. No, you don't. Have you ever had a certain kind of food or alcohol, audience as well, where you love that food or you love that alcohol, and you're like, I'm never gonna go, I love it so much. And one day you ate way too much, or you drank way too much.
Up, and now I can't have tequila. Dang it.
That's exactly it. And now the thought of it, or the smell of it's like,
Yep.
I literally do that with people's nervous system to get them to their goal. So when people say like, oh, you gotta change your mindset, it's like, fuck you and your mindset. It's like, mindset is a big, fluffy, fancy word for if you change the way that your nervous system feels about something, you will fucking change it now. It doesn't take time. But we usually just let life get us to the point where it's like, this sucks. Like, I had to stop working. My wife just handed me divorce papers. Maybe don't wait until then. But you will if something's painful enough. Right?
Yeah.
So it's just, you don't need to want to change. You just have to hit enough pain.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Interesting. Wow.
How do we wrap this?
We got a lot of substance there, yeah.
Business mastery.
It's,
oh yeah. So we got business mastery.
You said you had a lot of stuff though. I mean, feel free to ask more.
well, that was like bullet point number 1. I do actually have a call.
One bullet point at a time.
Well, 2 maybe, but I do actually have a call at 1, so we're not going to be able to stay on here for an eternity.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the last thing is kind of a subset that I think would be a good place to leave this would be for both of you. Do you have any phobias or fears that you have identified that you are working on at the moment? And the reason I make the distinction is because obviously like there's momentary fear and then there's an enduring thing.
Sure.
But what do you mean by phobia? Like,
well, like with what Tyler deals with, right? It's like, I'm scared of snakes. Every snake is going to freak me out versus like a momentary, oh, danger, got to get out of here.
Right. I see a venomous snake that's about to bite me versus snakes.
Yeah. Sure. I might not be scared of tigers, but if a tiger jumps out of a tree, I'm going to be like, oh.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I have any specific phobias by that definition. I would say I have, I don't know if it's limiting beliefs or maybe fears of raising the prices or getting into ads. I think I have a belief that if I get into paid ads, I will be flushing money down the toilet because that's what happened the last like 2 or 3 times. So I wouldn't say those are phobias, though. I don't have a phobia of running ads. It's just more like kind of dreading it, with those beliefs.
What's the difference?
What is the difference? I feel like a phobia is like I'm scared of that thing in and of itself versus me, I'm afraid of like I don't know. What do you think, Tyler?
Get him, Tyler.
No, I wasn't gonna outsmart. I was curious to hear where someone who like didn't have necessarily a defined definition for it. I was curious to know where you're gonna go with it. But if there's anything that I've learned, it's that all of our fears, they're never about the thing out here, be it like the clicking of the ads or the spending money or whatever, or the
like
snake
the
or the
outcome.
spider. It's the idea in our mind of what'll happen. It's always in our mind. So with that being said, like the difference between a limiting belief and a fear or phobia is typically a limiting belief by definition is preventing us from the thing that we want, but it could be any feeling. It doesn't necessarily mean fear. It just means that there's a mental limitation that's making me not move toward the thing. A phobia specifically is something that is the idea of it in our head is so
like
scary
I don't have.
that
That's
we're
the
like
thing.
dysfunctionally like if there's this,
Yeah.
Here's a good example. A limiting belief would be, I saw a spider in this room. I'm afraid it's going to bite me. I don't want to go near it or put it outside or whatever. But I still come in the room and I kind of just try to stay away
Yeah,
from
so you're
it.
not scared of the thing.
A phobia is there's a spider in here. I'm leaving the house. And I'm not coming in until the exterminator burns my house down.
Yeah. So like I wouldn't say I have any phobias because I am completely open-minded to getting into ads and running them. I have no fear around the ads themselves. I guess what Tyler was saying, I have more of a fear or a belief in the outcome, and that's maybe hindering me from starting it. So
Yeah, like what'll happen if you start.
yeah, exactly. But I have no I'll be doing it, right?
So it sounds like with a limiting belief then, to your point, it's not necessarily fear as in the response can be different, but the result seems to be exactly the same, which is it evokes some kind of like self-protection or not wanting an ego death or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of people, for example, they've been hurt in relationships, and so they'll have a limiting belief that if I am with another man or woman, I'm going to get my heart broken. And so there's a bit of a sadness toward the idea of getting a relationship, but it's not, and it's still technically a fear of having my heart broken and all that, but they might feel sadness towards it. They might feel a bit of anger towards it. Maybe that it doesn't feel like a fear to them. A phobia is just more something that's like the idea is just like, it creates fear in your body. But I will generalize up a little bit and just wrap this piece up, at least on my end, with saying that if there's anything in your life that you want, literally anything, you name it, it is just a fear of something that is preventing you from having it. We get wrapped up in these stories about not having the money, the time, the education. I'm not old enough, young enough, smart enough. I'm not whatever enough. No, you're just afraid of what'll happen if you do the thing. Because as whether we want to call it God, the universe, life, we're all God's highest form of creation. If there's someone who's done something before, we can do it too. There's no reason you can't. It's like when I used to do relationship coaching back in like 2020, give or take. I'd have like a 50-year-old man or woman on the phone saying like, what do you know about, I'm 21 years old. They're like, what do you know about it? I'm like, you've been divorced 5 times. Like, I might know something you don't. I don't know. Yeah. Like, sure, I'm single, but like divorced 5 times. I don't know. Yeah. I might have an idea that you don't.
Yeah.
But, this is going to, let me cap this. Joe, you'd asked him about coaching before. I just wanted to throw this in too. If you're going to hire a coach, hire someone who stays objective enough about what you want, because we all have our own filters. If Joe comes to me for relationship advice, maybe I have a few of my own skewed beliefs because we're all human. I need to work on them and get rid of them. I need to put my stuff to the side and know that there's a greater truth than what even I believe.
Yeah.
So my shit doesn't influence him. I'm like, well, don't tell her that or do this. No. Your values, your beliefs. If I can just shift the way he looks at things, he'll make the right decision.
Yeah.
Final question. What was the moment where you said, enough is enough, I'm raising my prices? What was that for you practically?
That was like yesterday.
Yeah.
That was yesterday. Great question, because it was on the table for a few months for me.
As these things usually are.
Exactly, right? You don't usually just like go from, this is the one thing that's not in a moment. Pain builds until the threshold of the one moment, just to be very clear, because I've never specified that ever. So it's a great question. You don't go like, oh, my relationship's beautiful. The next day, fuck, I hate. Like, there's a build. There's a building.
Yeah.
No one just hands divorce papers and go,
It was
started
yesterday.
that this morning. The breakfast wasn't very tasty.
Yeah.
No. So with that being said, it was on the table for a while. The moment for me was realizing, number one, I'm literally changing people's lives. And if somebody can't see that being able to get on stage, get on the plane, go on vacation with their family, get in the elevator to go up to that XYZ story floor with their friends, like if they don't see that being able to functionally live their life to the fullest to become the greatest man or woman that they want to be is not worth $15K. When you buy a fucking car, half-ass car for $20,000, $30,000, what are we talking about here? So my thing was, more than anything, I want to attract a better quality client. I want to attract the me of clients. Like I paid Austin $15K. I paid Dan Henry $10K. We could go on a list of like so many people, but over the time I probably paid like $200,000 to coaches. Tony's probably $100,000 of them himself. But the point of the matter is I wanted to attract a new person. And for me, ironically, that was the that was the line in the sand of like, I don't want a certain kind of client. I want a certain kind of client now. And it's funny because when I don't know how you guys are personally, but when I hear a coach who just stands on business with their price, like $20K, I'm like, I want that. But when they're like, I charge $5K, I'm like,
and if we need to split it up, we can do that. Blah, blah,
I'm like,
blah,
I don't know, even if I don't even like the energy, but when they're like $50K, and they're like, I don't want to pay, they're like, don't. I'm like, I want that energy in my life. I'm like, what am I gonna do? So
it's a fundamental detachment because like we've had cases in the past where we've done payment plans and stuff like that, but that's for people that are still bought in.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, we need to figure this out versus,
of course.
With this example, like the guy that's like, okay, don't do it then. That's a fundamental disconnect. Like I genuinely do not care at all if you do this or not. This is entirely for you. None of it is for me. Versus like, oh, well, you can't do it. Okay, well, let me downsell you to this. It's like,
yeah.
And the more you pay, it doesn't matter about like if it's us three on the panel here or you as the person listening, the more you pay for anything, the more you value that thing.
People
and
who
so
pay attention.
100%.
Yeah.
I have never gotten better results in any kind of coaching than the ones that I pay a shitload.
Yeah.
And now when someone says 10K, I'm like, hey, done, here.
Yeah. And this also goes for people who are trying to raise their prices. This is beating a dead horse, but when you raise your prices, you get better quality clients. Yep. They take it more seriously. They see better results. You use those results in your proof and in your marketing. You attract higher level clients. You're happier serving them because guess what? You're not charging pennies to talk to Sarah every single week on a call. So just all around the board, it is better to
Have you guys heard Hormozi's wine example?
Wine example? No.
Oh.
Maybe we have. I don't know.
Is this just the idea that like you pay $1,000 for a bottle of wine and you think it's great even though it's...
The idea of that. So the perception in his $100 million offers book, for anyone who's never read it or whatever, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter your level of awareness of it. The essence was there was 3 wine bottles, all their labels were ripped off, and they just pasted like $10, $50, and $100.
You just automatically
everybody tasted the 100 and they're like,
oh,
wow,
this is
so
good.
much better. And they taste the 10 and they're like, same wine.
Yeah.
So it's like, to answer your question
I
directly,
think, like,
I wanted to raise the price more than anything.
For
like,
the
I have money, I have all
association.
I want people to be like, I want to pay that because I'm the kind of person, and I'm talking about the person I want to attract. I want to attract the kind of person who says, I want the best thing. I want to pay the most.
Yeah.
Because that's how I am. I might hear that, like, say, Joe and knockoff version Joe. Joe might charge 10K and knockoff Joe might charge 7. I'm like, I want the 10K one.
Yeah.
He might charge 20, the other one 15. I'm like, I want the 20K. Because I want to know what that extra thing is. And it might not be fucking anything, but it makes me show up as if there is.
Yeah, exactly.
Which actually...
And by default, you
with
get better
coaching,
results,
that's the difference in itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
How you show... Because I will say this. I've had people who paid me and they're like, I used this one little module and oh my God, it's changed my life. You don't even need to get on a call. This is and it changed their life. I've had people who go through my coaching 4, 5, 6 calls in, all the modules, and they're like, nothing's working. I'm like, it's the person showing up to the call. The information and the strategy, exact same. Now, that might have even sounded like my coaching is bad. Call it what it is. That's fine too.
Well,
but
it's
just
bad
like
coaching that works for a lot of people.
And that's the thing. It's like, obviously the tools that you sign up for in a coaching program, they have to work, period. Mm-hmm. But if the thing is tested and proven for the thing that you want, take the coaching program completely out of the side. Who are you showing up as? So that's why I changed it. Because I was like, I've also heard Austin Medlin and a bunch of salespeople, but even Tony and Alex very specifically, they've said, I want you to just notice the kind of person you get when you charge, say, 500 versus 1,000 versus 10. Like, the person that you just attract is just a different kind of person. We've all seen the meme, and I will end the answer here. We've all seen the meme where it's like the $500 client. Oh my God, this is my last one. Oh my God, when do I get the email out? And then it's like $50,000 client.
Money wired.
Just pay the invoice, yeah.
Yeah, and because it's true. Like, when I signed up for things that were a couple $1,000s, like a few years ago, I'd be like, I didn't get the enrollment email, and I'm like, refreshing. And then when I paid Austin Medlin, our first call was like in a week from then.
Yeah.
I didn't get I just kept doing my day. I was like, I know it'll all come through. Whatever. I'll just wait it out.
To your point about the pricing too, I mean, we could argue, okay, different season of life, so you've probably matured, developed a little bit, whatever, but you're still fundamentally the same person. And so even in that case, it's not that, the people that are paying these lower prices are just like objectively lower quality people or whatever. They have the exact same potential.
Yeah.
But in the exact same way, if you pay $500 for a thing, you're going to take it less seriously, even if you're 100% dialed in. This is something that we also talked about on a past episode. Joe said, the reason I've always gotten my money's worth out of an investment, regardless of what it is because I show up with the mindset that I'm going to be the best guy there.
Yeah, I also go into it just assuming that this is going to be a good investment. Like, I will make this a good investment. Like, even the ads things, it's like I still learn stuff from it. I learned what not to do.
You almost want to make a big investment if you're confident in the result.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm not confident I can actually deliver, I'm going to charge 500 or 1,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
But if, I mean...
Beginner energy, it's a signal. When you're charging a specific price, that's a signal to the buyer.
2 things I'll say on that, 2 small examples is... Tony Robbins will often say, if you put a great product into the hands of shitty people, now he's being general about it. It doesn't literally mean that, but if you put a great product into the hand of shitty employees, they will make it shitty. If you put a shitty product into the hand of its outstanding employees, you're going to have a phenomenal product because the people mold it to what it is. Yeah.
And imagine if the thing's actually really good, because we don't have shitty products.
And that's exactly it. So it's like... the other example I was going to give is a person that I look up to in this field. His name is Mastin Kipp. He once had a post, it was like a few years ago, but it stuck in my mind. He said, when you're hiring a coach, he said, when you're having people sign up with your thing, you are always attracting people at the level of healing that you are at. Now, I don't like the word healing. I don't like the choice.
That's also a loaded term.
Definition.
Yeah.
Exactly. But healing just meaning like where your mindset is as a big general term. Mm-hmm. You're always attracting people at the same healing mindset, vibe, energy, whatever you call it, development as you. And so think about if you're listening to this right now and you charge $500, the person you're going to attract is going to be very different than, let's say you're a person listening right now who is charging $50K right now. The person that's investing, you're just attracting someone on that level. Mm-hmm. So we all think we're all trying to sell shit from our own pocket or what we believe that they have based on what we have in our pocket. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's not what you're trying to do, though.
And also, again, let's say it's the exact same person at both those price points. If you charge someone that can afford $50K, $500, they're still going to be approaching it with like, oh yeah, like I can drop $500. Let's see if this works. Versus if it's $50K, they're like, I'm going to make this work. I am invested. I am bought in.
I would give you even a different perspective. If someone who has $50,000 energy to go into whatever the coaching program is that they're doing, if they hear something's $500, their first thought is,
what's wrong
with
it?
Will this actually work? Yeah. Versus if you're offering a $50,000 thing to someone with $500 energy, they're thinking, what do you think I'm going to like sell my house and my children for? So it's not even in the, it's someone who's just living a different life. But again, you can grow into becoming that person. But there's just a lot to that. And so it's like, it's not that those people don't exist. You just have to change you and your offer and your pricing to bring that person in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, I just want those people.
100%.
I mean, attracting 5K level people is great too. There's nothing inherently wrong with their mindset about that. They're less than in their mindset than a 15K, but they're still very great to work with. I will say the people who pay 500 and maybe 2,000 total.
Yeah.
Maybe wanna.
It's a bit challenging.
Yeah.
Something I'll even just add to that about like the 15K thing is.
Extra sauce.
Oh yeah. What's interesting.
After hours.
This will be really helpful for your audience hyper specifically too. I'm aware for those people who were like me wondering like, great, but just because I changed the price in my head does not magically mean that people are going to come of that caliber. And I agree. So it's like the after hours thought that I really do have about this that I wanted to share anyway is just that I know that with having a raised price point, the way in which I approach content and how my whole thing looks needs to update with that. Because if I still have like a shitty lens and a shitty shirt and all these, then it doesn't, the content is what attracts them.
With the price. It's all
exactly.
about
So you got to be congruent with that. You can't just be like,
I'm just
charge 15 and then a 15,000 business. Yeah, what? It's like, no, you have to be congruent. But like something that even Sophia was saying, she confirmed a thought that I had a couple months ago, which was that I was like, I'm the one who drops $10,000 on things. Why am I not wanting to attract a me?
That's such a good point because you're selling an identity. You're not just selling a result.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, if I want to attract a Joe or say anyone in Austin Medlin's program or anyone who I even want to be affiliated with, personally, like, why am I trying or
sabotaging
aiming to attract someone who I used to be? Like, no. And so that was this was a big answer to your question too, is like, I want to attract people like me. And if I'm willing to just like that, and you are, like, if I'm surrounded by people who already do that, why would I believe that they're not fucking out there?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not stupid, meaning the person who's believing that it's stupid. It's just that idea is silly.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. It's like if I'm going, and here's the other thing. If Austin Medlin can go 15K or one payment of, say 3 payments of 5K or one payment of 12, and I'm like, okay, cool, let's split this up. I don't know if I don't know if my cards have these limits. Let's figure this out. No objection, just boom, let's do it.
Yeah.
If I do that, why would I ever be nervous? This is such a real question for those entrepreneurs. Why would I ever be nervous to say that to you unless I thought my service was shitty?
Yeah.
It's like, it's 15K, 20K. Like, if I'm willing to pay those prices, why am I nervous to say it?
Yeah.
So I think another thing that is huge, if you want to charge a big price,
you'd be willing to
pay that to someone else first.
Yep.
And I'm not even, for the record, promoting Joe or me or anything. I'm just saying, so that you can step into an identity of the person you want to attract.
I literally said
helpful.
that last episode. You remember that?
It is so helpful.
Yeah.
I've heard so many coaches say that before. Like, I was this big name that I am, I guess, now or whatever. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. It's like, it's not that you have to. It just feels easier because you've already done the thing.
And it's also validating to yourself that you are that kind of person. So naturally, you're going to be on that level as everyone else.
And if I'm, quote unquote, objection handling or pitching, say, 15K, it's so much easier.
Take a leak.
It's so much easier to be able to say, I've done it, than like, how am I going to justify if I've never done it?
Yeah.
I'm trying to walk someone through how it feels or what they'll experience and all that when I'm like, I'm still a 5K buyer. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So 10K, let's just do this real quick. 10K to Dan Henry, 12K to Austin Medlin, 10K to Adley.
I think between both, I was going to say I've invested probably $200,000 as well. So between both of us, it's $400,000.
Almost half a
million.
So like,
why wouldn't we be charging at least 10? It
doesn't make sense. The only reason I think it would make sense is if we purposely want to help a type of person who's, say, just getting started.
Yeah.
Or in my case, instead of them being the person who's speaking on stage doing deals, maybe I wanted to talk to the high school student who's afraid of their speech. Like, maybe it's a different demographic, and for that reason,
logistically,
logistic. But to feel like for the right person, we can't just say 15, 50K, 100K. Like, if we do it, why are we nervous?
Yeah, just a dumb mindset.
Because we're already the person who does that. Doesn't make any sense. It would be like, let's find a fun analogy. It would be like me being happily married and excited to be married and be a dad and explaining to someone in a very nervous way, when you get married, it's like, what? You're already
married. You've already done it.
Why is it nervous for you telling them? Like, so it's like, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You've already done it. You love it. It's who you are. Same thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Interesting.
I think actually a good content pillar for you even might be to talk to that person in an analogy that they understand like that. It's like, what's something you love doing? Like, you already love, I can't think, but you already love
just
XYZ.
Like golf or something, you know?
Yeah. So if you're a golfer and you want to explain to someone why to get into golfing, you wouldn't be nervous talking to them about it. You'd be like, oh my God, you got to golf because XYZ.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how expensive it is, how much time they have to take off, how hot the sun, like, that's who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you nervous to sell it to them? You love it. And so there's actually a lot I wanted to say to you on or off camera about if I was even the kind of person who you wanted to attract in terms of the $30,000 to $50,000 to $70,000 coach who wants to go higher. As like, we're already at the same level in terms of what we're willing to invest into things.
Yeah.
And you know more about how to position me and all that to go higher. So I'm like, even you should be, like, I'd be willing to easily drop 10 or 15 on this type of thing.
I know. I think, again, my limiting belief just comes down to, like, can I get enough of those Tylers to make it worth it? Because one thing I was also, I was watching this video from this guy, Ravi, and he was talking to a client.
Horseman?
Ravi Abuvala. Do you know him?
No.
So he has his business Scaling with Systems, and he does a lot of like back end work. But he had a coaching call and he recorded it, put it on YouTube, and he was essentially talking to this guy who wants to do something similar to me in terms of strategy, which is like raise the price, attract very high level people, charge 10, 12, 15K, get a handful of clients per month that way. But he was going about it in a way where it was almost like getting rid of those mid to lower quality leads. Mm-hmm. But what was interesting is he was already doing 80, 100 grand a month from those 5K clients. So like what we have a tendency to do is we have this new shiny thing that we want to attract. We want to go to this big high level audience, and then we just completely disregard what's like literally paying us $80,000, $100,000 a month. So it's not that we get rid of something and replace it completely with the higher level thing. Yep. We need to keep doing what we're doing here, but then add on the higher level clientele,
And on that, 2 notes is, one, what I did is I raised it to 15 and I still have the 5K option, but it's going to be for like a little group intensive versus one-on-one. So I'm still, again, not neglecting that kind of person or that person who still wants in. And the other thing about this, what's super interesting, you could have 10 people at $10,000. You make $100K a month. You could have, you could have 20 people at 5K, $100K a month, and so on and so forth. So like slide the scale. I would also say don't just go after like the whale, if you want to call, Alex Hormozi language. Don't just go after the whale client for your own significance and ego flex of, oh, I have the Austin Medlins, I have this kind of client. Like sometimes they're a pain in the ass because their own ego is like, I expect more. So it's like, go after who you want to go out. You can hit whatever goal you have based on anything. The question is, what lifestyle do you want? For me, I just want to be the person who has a sugar load more time for my friends, family, doing things I want. And I also want the people who value those things. I'm not doing it for the ego flex of the Austins, the Joes, the whoever. Like I don't care to say, like I have an actress that signed up with me a couple months ago. I think I told you about her. Mm-hmm. I don't care that she's an actress. It's the person who's willing to pay more and they see the world the way that I do. We get along really well, and I want to work with that person.
Yeah, so going back full circle comes down to values. What do you want for your life?
Yeah.
get clarity
and
on.
decide from there.
Yeah.
Like when you were filming the session with Austin and I, when we got into the elevator, I was about to walk in and he went, me first.
Yeah.
I want that energy
Yeah.
instead of like, I have one client right now and I don't even care if she sees it because I'm just transparent. I'm not going to say her name. But we've been working together for a couple months. She has gotten over 2 major phobias. And another fear that she's working on, she still keeps telling me how she has no idea how to do it. Without judgment, that's a different energy than me first.
Yeah.
It's just different. And so what Austin Medlin's willing to pay, which he actually told me, I'm going to say this for the camera, he told me that he would be willing to have paid $150,000 for that because it's costing peace of mind.
Yeah.
Which
what also comes down to the result. Like to those higher level clients, the result is worth way more. That's why someone will pay Alex Hormozi $100,000 because they've already gotten that leverage to where that one little golden nugget could make their business
millions.
1 million. I mean, literally.
And so you're paying 10%.
Yeah.
And so like if you have the same skill to help somebody to, again, get on a stage, if you help a high school student to get on stage for a play, that might be worth like $50 to $100 literally maybe because there's not much that might come out of that versus same skill. You're now helping the CEO or the whomever who's going to be selling an audience of 10,000 people.
Yeah.
And they have a $10,000 product to sell. They might make, I don't know, whatever 2,000 times $10,000 is. Why can't I figure that out?
What's the math, Gabe?
I am not listening.
I'm going to guess it's
what
20 million.
2,000 times 10,000.
20 million?
2,000.
2,000 times 10,000?
2,000
20 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Did I get that right? Money math, boys.
So same skill, but to one person it
smart.
might be worth $50 to $100.
Yeah, exactly.
To,
And a lot of us
my
tend
kid
to
up there living his like cute little outfit versus this person's gonna make $20 million. You could easily charge them like $50,000 easily. They're like, I need to get on stage.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. It's like, what do you
It's
want?
all arbitrary.
What do you want? It's all. What is it worth? Like, get out of your own way. I want better quality clients. Bye.
All right.
Cool.
Well, I think that is a great place to wrap it. So thank you again. As always, everyone. Tyler, it was awesome to have you back, man.
It's fun.
Always, I always appreciate these conversations. Everyone go follow Tyler at Tyler. It's Tyler.Charlebois, right?
Correct.
Okay, cool. I'll spell that. So that'll be up on the screen, linked in the description here. Same thing, Joe at Real Joe McCarthy, myself at Gabriel Schickler. And if you are looking for help with your personal brand, definitely book a call with us before I convince Joe to raise our prices to $50K. Because I feel like we just got a lot of great got a lot of great reasons to do that. So, move your feet, lose your seat, as the saying goes. And yeah, thank you again for tuning in. We will catch you all next week.
See ya.